it's been 3 months since I quit my full-time job. A full-time, very senior job at a huge corporate. How's that going for me? I thought it was time to check in. So the first 2 months I was off, I've basically been on holiday. I had people visiting me here, and then I spent almost 6 weeks with my mom and dad in Portugal. And while I was in Portugal, I just did my own thing. I helped them power wash the house and do their gardening chores, and I moved like a mountain of dirt. And I did a lot of walking in the Portuguese countryside. If you ever go out for a walk in the countryside in the Algarve in Portugal, carry a stick. But I didn't really think about what I wanted to do next, and I was hoping that all of that time off would help me figure that out, to have some mental space. But when I got back from Portugal, I found that hadn't really happened. So did I want to go find a new job right away? Did I want to, keep doing the job that I've been doing? Did I want to start at an entry level somewhere else? Did I want to volunteer in my community, monetize a blog, try and get my own business up and running, go into consulting? None of that really coalesced for me. But one thing that did really coalesce for me was fitness. My health and fitness, which was one of the main things that drove me to quit my job, was my physical and mental health and fitness were really suffering. Very toxic work environment, just drains the energy out of you, gives you very little energy to do anything else or focus on that. So I thought that's a really easy thing to focus on, because it's a really easy thing for me to figure out where I am now and set some goals about where I want to get to. And I think the results speak for themselves. I know where I've started and where I am now, and there's been a huge amount of progress in a very short amount of time. And I'm really pleased with how strong I'm getting. And originally, I said to myself, well, if I can bench press half my own weight and deadlift half my own weight by the end of the year, those are my goals. But as you can see, without giving too much away, I'm almost at that goal for my deadlift, and about a third of the way there for my bench press. So if I can deadlift my own weight by the end of the year, that's going to mean I'm a really strong, fit, healthy person. And focusing on fitness it's really easy, because you just forget about everything else, and before you do anything else in the day, my priority is work out, go for walks, work on mobility and flexibility, and I spend the time doing that before I spend the time doing anything else. And it's really easy to prioritize. What else have I been up to? Well, one thing that I wanted to do with all of this spare time was a little bit of gardening. I wanted to grow some of my own veg this year, maybe put some, raspberries and things in to, augment my diet and cut down on grocery bills. The results have been mixed. Oh, look at the zucchinis go! So I've got some sweet peas coming, and I've got some sugar snap peas coming. I'm a little bit disappointed in the germination rate of these guys, although the snails did eat one down to the ground the other day. You little bastard! An X raspberry. Something tells me I'm going to be waiting until next year to have actual raspberries. There will be hops again this year, though. So I am a little bit disappointed in some things, especially the tomatoes, which I love growing tomatoes, and even when I had a full-time job, I always made sure to grow tomatoes. But I wanted to do them from seed this year, and for some reason, that was a waste of money, and I'll just have to go and get some that are already growing at the garden center to put in. Now, if you've been following me on Facebook, because that's where I decided to put all of my hashtag not in the office moments, you will know that I have been engaged in a rather large sewing project. Now, sewing is a skill that I learned a very long time ago from my very talented mother, who still sews up a storm. And it's a skill that I've wanted to develop with some of my time off. Now, possibly reupholstering boat cushions was not the best project for, kind of a beginner. Oh my god, how? The thing is that actually feeding bits of fabric through a machine, it's really easy. Anybody can learn to do that. I learned to do that when I was like 4, and it's really served me well during my life. If you gotta shorten some pants or a skirt or mend something, really simple. The hard part with sewing is the planning and the construction and the cutting out. Now, the boat cushions, as you can see, I did not have the luxury of being able to take them apart because we wanted to retain the really durable covers on there, which they seem to wear really well. They just don't look very nice. And I couldn't take them apart to cut the patterns, which would have been easy. You just take it apart and you put it down and you trace around it. I had to take all the measurements from hand and also figure out how to do the enclosures that weren't zippered. This meant a lot of time doing prototypes and experimenting with different types of finishes to see what they would look like. Very interesting process. It took a long time. It probably took me 3 or 4 days just to get to the point where I was happy with the design of the closures and the seams and everything. Then it came to actually measuring all of the cushions and cutting out the pieces and putting them together. That's the hard part, is doing all that construction and turning something that is flat and one-dimensional into a 3-dimensional object. Again, the results were kind of mixed. No, it's corners. Fits okay. Oh man, what the hell happened there? Now that is a good corner. And I'd have to say I'm kind of amazed myself as someone I've not done huge amounts of sewing like that in my life, and it was a really great challenge to figure out the construction methods and design that template for the closures and everything. And I'd have to say that some of it did turn out way better than I ever could have imagined, based on the experience I have with sewing. However, I'm pretty good at 3-dimensional construction, especially, with my pottery and other sort of arts that I do. And I'm a very methodical person. So figuring all that out, that was the biggest part. And like I say, actually feeding the bits of fabric through here is super easy. The hardest part and the most time-consuming part was the measuring and the cutting the patterns and cutting the fabric out to get it all the right sizes and shapes, because as you can see, right, it's all weird shapes. You're not just like sewing squares for pillows, so I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. However, I did find it mentally exhausting because I would do start to finish pattern measurement and cutting to final construction. I've only really done 1 cushion a day, and yes, I had to unpick some things, but some of the design elements I'm quite proud of. I've put handles on them to make them easier to handle as well. So as a big project, I'm kind of happy with how that turned out, and it has given me sort of a structure to my day that I was kind of floundering around for. However, I'm kind of tired of it now. I'm halfway through, and this week I'm taking a break to do other things. So other things I've been kind of working on is a few creative things, working on my vector graphic skills, and I'm also volunteering for an organization called Everwise and mentoring a young woman in France who is in product management, and we have a session every 3 or 4 weeks where she comes to me with like business problems that she has, or problems with maybe staff or other things where I have a wealth of experience and I can guide her in her career. And I found that a generally fulfilling experience as well. Other than that, and making sure I get lots of exercise and walking and proper nutrition, I really still haven't figured out what my focus needs to be. Probably because I've been procrastinating that with my big sewing project of cushions. Kind of like trying to escape the reality of figuring out what to do next by dealing with something that's an immediate problem. But I'm going to take this week off and see if I can make any progress in those areas. So what are some of this month's achievements unlocked? Well, one really exciting one is that we got our new dinghy and outboard motor in all set up, and we went out to put straps on the mooring. Fitness-wise, all of my benchmarks have gone up really well. I've lost 1/2 inch from my waist and hips. I learned a lot about sewing and upholstery and sewing construction. I learned that the steam feature on an iron isn't just some stupid Me Too peripheral. Like, in a seriously life-changing way. Crease, baby, crease! I did manage to get some things to grow in the backyard in spite of the very strange weather we've been having, and I'm hopefully going to be eating fresh zucchinis and fresh peas throughout the summer. Not holding out much hope for the raspberries or chili peppers, but I've probably got another month where I can sort those out. Push comes to shove, I might cheat a little bit and go to the garden center and get some sort of, ready-made ones. So in conclusion, it's been a pretty productive month. Still kind of just figuring stuff out and enjoying the time to work on skills and projects that I would normally have to pack into weekends. The sewing of the boat cushions, I've got 4 done in a month. In 2 weeks, basically. I've only been working on that for possibly 2.5 weeks, including all of the prototyping. I probably wouldn't even have 1 done now if I was just working on that over the weekends, because I have a life and a partner and we like to do things and have fun. So enjoying not having to cram that stuff into my weekends, which means my partner and I can do things like this. For the next 4 weeks, I think I am just going to continue to focus on fitness and make that a priority. I'm really enjoying that and how it's making me feel, and also the extremely visible and tangible progress that is being made. I'll do a bit more work on the boat cushions, but I also want to this month look at some different skills I want to develop. I'm working on my vector graphic skills and drawing skills. Sewing, I would like to, sew some of my own clothing. I will be making wine this month as well because the elderflower will be out in the next couple of weeks, and one thing that I've always wanted to do is make elderflower wine. Don't ask me why, but it's something that I've always wanted to do and just never had time to do. Being on a limited budget, booze isn't always in the budget for the weekly food shop, so if I can make my own, can really save money there. There's probably lots of other things that I can be tinkering with, but to be honest, I think the upholstery, sailing, because we're getting the boat ready to go out in the water, so weekends, fingers crossed, we'll be sailing. like, I've got a couple of blogs. I've kind of thought, oh, I could probably monetize those if I spent more time on them. By this point, I thought I would have been volunteering somewhere, but it seems like spending so much time on my own isn't as bad for me as I thought it would be. I thought I would have gone totally squirrely by now, but actually, I just talk to myself and it's fine. And I don't relish having to jump back into scheduling again. Right now, it's kind of great where I just kind of make my own schedule and I prioritize that health and fitness and exercise, and I don't have to worry about being somewhere at a certain time on any particular day, which even jumping into volunteering, that would make those demands on me. So I'm thinking maybe leave that another couple of months. We'll have to see. I am doing a charity walk for the mental health charity in my community where I'd like to volunteer. So I'm looking forward to that. Any regrets so far? Not even remotely. Not least because if I did have a full-time job right now and was going to work, I would never have seen this. Oh my god, that one has a mustache. There's a horse with a mustache.